Frenzy and Sensei, look at them both. They're so hurt that the Storm is continuing to tick them out, and it is not enough. It's as in Frenzy get the victory royale.
Man, Zeke, we're getting 79 points.
I can't do
and that
this.
could be 80 because I know that elimination counter is slow to update towards the end of these replays. It could be enough, and that could even be possibly their last game, or they could have gotten one more in before these queues. I mean, Zeke, this is coming straight down to the wire here in Europe.
Oh my goodness, man. Of course it would be like this for the final week. It's been like this every, periodically we've seen moments like this where we've seen players edged out at the very end.
And I gotta, Vato and Skite, man.
Yes.
Out in 6th place in that game, not quite making it to 5th place. That could come back to bite them in a terrible fashion. It could be heartbreaking for them, but we go ahead and catch up with them later in the standings. We'll see where they all end up. Here, Thomas and Kluja finding one elimination this game, and again, we're looking at the point ranges. 77 was that, but as we saw that last game, they pushed over that 77.
So don't forget, they're at 83 points when we last saw them. So right now, if you're looking at Thomas and his duo partner Kluja, they could very well contest that 83 points that we saw, right? It's only a difference of 6 points. That's making it into top 10. They're at, or excuse me, top 5. With a few eliminations sprinkled in there, man, I do not want to see Skite and Vato get edged out again. They've come so close so many times. This has got to be their week, and you've got to think they're thinking the same thing, right? They're like, it's all come down. We've put everything on the line. We're playing our hearts out. This is our week to qualify. Just keep your head up and keep positive.
And let's not forget about Tux and Vorwin there in that last game as well. Contesting with Skite and Vato, actually taking them out.
Right.
First, Vato ends up getting split, and Tux takes advantage of that. And then the stink bomb coming in at the perfect moment. Skite not having any white heals. We talked about it earlier. So ending up edging them into that top 5 and finding some eliminations on the way too.
Probably kicking themselves, thinking if we'd made that top 5, it would have just helped ensure that our placements were very high. But right now, the current game, Berlof here and his duo partner Artemis Sweet, they're in top 15. Don't forget that first round of placement points is great, but they're at the 39 threshold. They've got to make more happen. And don't forget Thomas and Kluja, they're sitting on 77 if I remember correctly. The question would be, who else is in this lobby? What other big names can we scout out?
It's not just big names, but anybody who's up at the top of the leaderboards right now, because as far as I'm concerned, Thomas and Kluja are the subjects of this game as far as we've seen so far. Obviously, everybody else getting the action. Berloof here, we've already seen them pick up one. They picked up another knock. Are they going to be able to find the elimination here? And they're holding them in zone. They're going to actually probably get this. Definitely the knock is going to be confirmed.
Oh, he should have just taken the shots with the AR. He's going to get blue damage numbers over. Here we go. Isla there gets picked up, but oh, man, this is coming down to the wire. This 14 number hasn't quite changed. Top 10 is the next threshold.
Well, they get knocked out.
Oh, they're coming down. They got to start building down. Did they drop?
Probably just a little bit of damage there, or, started using the glider redeploys. Yes, the rift comes out, actually, for Berloof, but I don't think he took his teammate Sweet with him, no. You see only a little bit of white HP missing, so probably maybe used a Shadow Bomber or maybe a Flint Knock or something to save himself from taking the damage, but was on high ground. He's looking to see, maybe I'm going to make a play right now. No, he's going to decide, I want to join my teammate, and Sweet has a perfect hole for him as he edits him down through it. It's Thomas and Kluja on high ground, by the way.
Yeah, this is a game. They need to close this game out, right? Like,
yes.
We know for a fact 83, again, in case you just tuned in, that was the highest threshold we've seen for points. Kluja and Thomas, they were at 77 not that long ago. They're about to hit top 10, which is another round of placement points on top of any eliminations they picked up along the way. Down below, those Sweet and Artemis Sweet and Berloof, I hope I'm saying that correctly. They're making things happen, right? They've got the 6 eliminations. They want to try and rack up as many as possible, but they are so far behind right now.
And I've got to criticize the use of that second Shadow Bomb there instead of getting into the box. Maybe a misclick or something, because now he doesn't have the rotation to stay with his teammate Berloof, who does have one more Shadow Bomb remaining. They're going to have to path in and walk it in.
Right now, again, top 10 is another round of placement points. Everything is going to slow down. Santo is single, unfortunately picked off right there at the edge, missing out on those points. I want to go back up top, right? I want to see what's going on with Kluja. I want to see their points right now. Berloof, Sweet, he's dropped down to nothing. anyone could accidentally sneeze in his direction and he could get picked off. Someone finds it. It's Detox who's going to be picked off in the crossfire there. Now Sweet again, he's ticking. It must be within a stink bomb, and he gets traded out. Burloff does. But Sweet, look, his HP jumps up, so he must have found elimination.
A second before, if that player doesn't come from behind, he actually gets the siphon and probably survives there.
Yep.
So everything coming down to these milliseconds decision. I still haven't seen Thomas. Yes, they finally got one elimination from up on high ground. Sweet starting to use that campfire. It's full effectiveness here as the zone starts to go back in the other direction. 5 duos remaining, 7 total players.
Oh, and Thomas gets picked up. That puts Artemis Sweet in the top 5, another round of placement points. So does that mean, that must mean they both have been eliminated? Yes, they are both gone. Right now on the high ground, you've got a player, and everyone else is super huddled together, because don't forget, this play space is just shrinking right now. Stir6, his dual partner Twix, is alive. They find Sweet, who gets picked off.
I love the placement.
Fight of his life, and he's on the 64 points. We've seen a lot of players hovering in that range. This could make the difference if he could find both of these eliminations and the victory royale. 5 points could make the difference. He gets cracked. Bala down to 23, 13. Oh my god! Oh my god! That was the sickest split knock I've ever seen!
That could have been the sickest split knock I've ever seen, because if he got that elimination and landed, he could have gotten the siphon and all of a sudden forced this into a 1v1 with HP advantage. But unfortunately going to go out into the zone, not able to control himself with the flint knock. Just like Zeke here, a little bit of excitement there from that play.
I'm melting in my chair. I'm just slowly sliding down. I'm trying to collect myself, Fortnite fan, but it's not working right now. Next game, 62 players, 34 duos, still sliding down. 85 points from Rojo and Wolfies? Okay, guys. All right, listen.
So they were slowing down when we last took a look at the standings when I was up there with you, Zeke. They were slowing down. They fell out of that first place. They're starting to creep down to that 6th, 7th. We were talking about whether their games have been played yet, but climbing back in a strong fashion here. They've got one more game, and at 85 points, if they make this a big one, they could break 100 and almost guarantee themselves a spot to New York.
They have shifted gears, shifted mindset, and have said, we need to punch our tickets. We need to be on the stage of the World Cup Finals in New York City right now. They've got 3 eliminations between them. Don't forget, top 15 is the round of placement points. They are halfway there. They've got to play this smart. They've got to find these few eliminations, like this one player roaming around. Oh my God! Elite gets picked off, another elimination heading their way. And look at this, they're just looking to confirm eliminations, beam players as they can while being as safe as possible, because look at all the resources they've got available to them. Shadow bombs, chug splashes, the combat, minis, they've got it all. They're looking to make this, Bala.
It's kind of crazy. I actually thought that he had an infantry rifle in his hands, but no, it's actually a heavy AR, which you don't see used too often anymore because of the effectiveness of that infantry rifle at long range, but you can't. You got to take what you get, and maybe he even prefers the heavy AR, because it does have, you know, a bigger clip in it.
Yeah.
Not doing quite as much damage, but up in the top left right now, we're not only looking at the thresholds reaching top 25, but Mr. Savage goes down in this game. Not too consequential because he's already qualified for New York, but that's another hint that they're probably not going to be making it up there and taking those top 4 spots.
That's right. Don't forget they've qualified, which means right now they're playing for money, which is great. So you got to think they're trying to find eliminations. Den Magis Pulse, by the way, someone tweeted at us. That means the magical sausage. You're welcome. The more you know. More shots coming out here from Ollie is cracked. He did not manage to crack that player's shields, but the shots were pretty on point, and he's, of course, 761 above the damage threshold for the Storm. There, Motor, for just a brief moment, peeks out and Ollie finds and secures it.
I think he might have also hit Motor's teammate, Barox.
I believe he did.
As he jumped out of that box, I'm looking at Wolfies and Rojo right now, carpeting their way towards the zone. They're going to go ahead and decide to launch pad. They use that, tarp for a second just to get ahead of everybody else, make sure they're not going to, hit their heads and waste the launch pad effectively. But here, Benji using those chug splashes to immediately get back to max health, starting his turtle forward.
And the fish out of water here. I mean, the duel of these, we kind of, it's funny that you said we may not see them in top 10, but look at the point threshold.
I know.
They said, look, Bala, we're savage. We're Benji Fishy, bro. Don't put us out. By the way, four rounds in the AR. Only 4.
And Zeke, finds actually 2 players who didn't edit their box close. He's going to take out Black. And his teammate as well, Stoico, going down, and that's probably the end of their run in the World Cup.
Benji literally just said, Zeke, I don't care about these 4 AR rounds. Watch me pick up the double, and now I'm sitting on 300. Check me again, bro. I'm a fish out of water. I can breathe in fresh air. That was, in case you didn't see that was a thing at the summer block party, which made me laugh, by the way. Go back and watch those little interstitials. They're fantastic. That's what I was referencing. But 86 points over on Wolfsies and Rojo.
Yeah, and he's actually in trouble here as the Shadow Bomb. This player actually doesn't realize, though, he's going to take a nice shot onto Mawaka, sorry. As Wolfie's making his way forward, Rojo is split, but we've seen this situation before. Again, reaching towards that 90 points right now. One more elimination is going to do it, but Rojo goes down, and it's all up to Wolfie's right now.
All right, here we go. So Rojo gets picked up. But now, look, they've just hit that 90-point threshold. So let's think about this, right? If Wolfies could clutch it up by himself, he'd have to at least get the Victory Royale, which is another 7 points, and at least 3 eliminations. There's still 10 players. It's doable.
To get 100, is that what
to break the triple digits. Yeah, I want to see the 100. I want to see it because they want to see it too.
I mean, based on what scores I'm seeing already spread out throughout the map and the games that we've seen, I think he's already probably clinched it. But he's thinking, I have to perform the best I have ever done here. I have to win this game if I want to make it, because I don't have high ground. I don't have a teammate. I've got to do everything. I've got to take all this responsibility on my shoulder, all the pressure from all 10 weeks, and do it right now, Zeke.
That's right. And you got to think they're probably saying, like, just imagine this was you on the stage of the World Cup Finals, right? Imagine you're in that moment. Take everything, all the practice, the long hours you put and dedicated to this game, and focus it and hone it in right now. Wolfies, he's got 3 eliminations. Again, 94 points. If he can find 3 more eliminations, it's not enough. Confetti trades him out and shuts him down in that moment. And now it's coming down to this. It's a 2v1.
Confetti and Tfue. It's kind of crazy because we started World Cup in week 1 in semifinals. Tfue playing in solos, actually destroying the semifinals, and now here again, ending EU. Is he going to be able to pick up this win? It could propel them up to 71 points, but it's going to happen. Ollie goes down, almost makes a hero RPG play onto Confetti. My heart dropped for a second there, but that really could be, a story from the start to the finish, Zeke.
Yeah. This is, I think, the only fitting thing now to do. I'm stressing out of my mind, but for now, let's send it into Pookie. She's in the studio. She's going to break down what's going on.
Thank you so much, Zeke. You know what? Go get yourself a sandwich. Go get a drink of water. Calm down. I was over there. You were stressing out for sure. I am joined here with Sundown. Those games are absolutely incredible. You always putting on a show, never disappointing. Speaking of that, don't want to bring up who's going to be disappointed or excited, but we got to look at the standings.
The final standings, the last 4 coming out of Europe. It's been so absurdly competitive, and let's take a look. Punch some tickets going through. Wolfies and Rojo taking the top spot. Stompy Tashinkin, Benji Fishy, and Mr. Savage don't know how to share. They're still hanging out. Had already qualified, so that means it shifts down, and we got Skype, Invato, Vorin, and Tux, and then Klusha in Singularities. Thomas HD taking up the spots, 1 point separating the difference, going through there. Saw it going down. I mean, this is nuts. So many players who we've seen. Klusha getting the double qualification going through. Shinken and Stompy not knowing how to stay off of the top. Huge runs from Skype and Vato, as well as Vorin and Tux. And then Wolfies and Rojo just dominating at the start of the day, kind of falling off, and everyone was saying, oh, can Can they stay up there? A huge last-minute surge, $20,000, a trip to New York City, Pooks. That's massive.
Congratulations to everyone who has qualified for World Cup finals in New York in July. I cannot wait to meet all of you, but we have some business to get down to, Sundown.
Time to punch some tickets, right?
Yeah, we got to punch those tickets.
All right, let's get the top one right there. Congratulations, Wolfies and Rojo.
We got Skite and Vado coming out of the stream. Am I doing this one?
Yeah, you can get that one as well. Split it up 2 and 2, and then get Warren and Tux. Such a great job from Tux there. We saw a number of his plays. Warren as well clutching up in the end, and then rounding it out. Klusha, by the way, in Singularity. Thomas HD, congratulations. All of you played so incredibly well. It was a great day to round it out. But again, hey, first of all, to even get to Sunday in Europe, it took 67 points in a victory royale. Like, if you were playing on Sunday, you're among the best of the best there, and just because your name isn't up here doesn't mean you're done. There's always going to be more to play for. There's always more there. And speaking of always more competitive Fortnite stuff, we recently actually just launched our own dedicated Twitter to all things competitive Fortnite. You know, let's just throw it on up there. Go ahead, give it a follow as well. It's twitter.com/FN competitive, and I mean, there's always a way to get involved. We're going to be highlighting plays, we'll be doing breakdowns, we'll be asking you who your favorite players are up there, so keep an eye on that. And then let's also see what is up on the social wall and what players had to say up there. Boom, right on up there, and then everyone saying welcome to Twitter on there. Let's go. People being excited about it, and look at that. I love the Sharks just slamming the like and the retweet button.
Nice. I love that. Cutest graphic I've seen on this wall thus far. Can we just talk about Evade Orange's tweet for a second? The only Twitter I need. Could not have said it better myself.
Well, he needs his own there to interact with it as well.
That's
but
true.
I mean, just
you know, potato. That is what it is. But yeah, guys, if you're not following this Twitter already, please go and give it a follow. I'm following it. I know Sundown is. Tweet to us on there. We'll be replying to stuff all day today. But you know what? I feel as though, you know, we've seen a lot of games coming out of Europe today. You know, we've seen a lot of people, you know, punch their tickets. Congratulations to everybody so far. I cannot personally wait to get into the next set of games. So before we do that, we are going to go to a quick break. Do not go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll have more Fortnite action.
Let's fly out to the lobby. Let's fly out to the lobby. Let's fly out to the lobby to get your squad some nums. Burgers from dirt to munch. Tacos Royale with crunch. Red juices, a tasty treat for Lil Whip, Peely, and Pizza Pete. Let's fly out to squad some nums. Let's fly out to the lobby to get your squad some nums.
What's up, Fortnite fam? Sundown here, and today we are going to talk about the Tactical Assault Rifle and its addition to competitive play.
The Tactical Assault Rifle is probably one of the best additions to the game. It's a long-range weapon where you could save AR ammo if you have a drum gun.
Small bullet you can find everywhere, so it's a good weapon.
The Tactical AR is an uncommon, epic, and legendary weapon that utilizes light ammunition and has a high rate of fire. It does 22, 23, or 24 damage depending on rarity, has a pretty fast first shot accuracy timer, and a dope reloading animation. I mean, come on, just look at it. We've seen a lot of competitive players opt into using the Tactical Assault Rifle over the course of the Fortnite World Cup Online Open qualifiers. So let's hear from some of the players who qualified for the finals and get their thoughts on the TAC AR's addition to the game.
It's really good. Like really good. Once you get to endgame scenarios like 5th zone and beyond, it absolutely beams. It's very viable in meta right now. Everybody's been using it.
I like it because you could actually sneak up on someone. It has this low sound, so it's hard to hear.
It has its viability due to its first shot accuracy that can make it really strong, and the fall off damage isn't as strong as it was for the silent SSG, which got vaulted.
I reckon the gun's awesome for endgame because if you've got height, that gun can really get a lot of eliminations because it's like a laser, and people endgame tend to have less HP than they would towards the early and mid game. So I think it's really strong in situations.
Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on the tactical assault rifle, and when do you like to use it? Send us your opinions using the hashtag Fortnite World Cup, and I'll see you on the battle bus, or maybe on the high ground with Attack AR.
There, and let's hop in, give these guys a little coverage, and celebrate just how awesome at Fortnite they are. Now, a fun fact about both these guys: 7 matches played total. That was all they ended up running through. So they were able to get the maximum amount of points through each one of them, not needing all 10. And as we talked about with the Breakaway Esports duo of Serpent and Hype, averaging a placement of 2.67 across those 7 games. That is ridiculous.
That is extremely high. Do you know what other teams are sitting at in terms of averages like that?
I mean, you really don't like that in a 10-game run. Like in overall, like we've seen people being those consistent in like over the course of 10 games.
Right.
But like in that spree, I think the closest we've seen is the Twins out of Oshi when they were playing more placement based and less aggro. I think they had one of the weeks up there where they were nearing 4, but sub 3 that's really, really, really good.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty incredible, like you said. And we see Hype just get the elimination on Pendragon, LOL there, just utilizing his edits there to quickly peek out, make sure that he's not leaving himself too exposed. Take a look at his partner, Serpent, who has got his own agenda of what he's doing over here. Looks like he's doing the same thing, but on the opposite side. So these guys just applying pressure all over the map.
Yeah, and one thing to note, it is a much sparser circle when you're in those very late games in terms of Oceania. Some players opting to play aggro, trying to get their games out there, will just go full send and try and burn through a couple towards the end to get into another one. But if you have good game management or the ability to just play consistently and ride it out, you can play this game all the way to conclusion and maybe snag what might be a slightly easier victory route for you if you're playing passive and defensive, which Serpent and Hype seem to have been doing so here with, I want to say, only 6 elims, but in comparison to the rest of the lobby, it's not a ton. It's good.
No, for sure. And to your point, kind of what you said about knowing, where your opponents are. Let's keep in mind that there's only 12 players left on this map right now, and only 7 duos remain. Make that 11 and 6. I spoke way too soon. Serpent secures another elimination there on Bray. But in terms of final circles, Sundown, this is not something that we see very often in these late games.
No, and it makes for interesting play because people can be more calculated, but normally you don't get as much room to operate. So now all of a sudden, Zank being in this 1-by-1 by himself, if certain Hype want to go pinch him, they absolutely will. They know this is a 2v1, they know there's no one else here, but Zank is now trying to get whatever opportunity he can to free up shots, knowing that the next elim that goes down
quick decision to just use the launch pad, kind of get out of there. He saw that there were players rushing at him, decided to go up, get the high ground, which does end up working out for him because he lays down a 35 and a 71 shot on opponents down below. Breaks a baller, which is going to be bad news for that player. He isn't going to have that additional protection anymore. But he is just trying to fire shots, methodically go through and see if he can actually get any kind of knocks or eliminations here to get that siphon, because he doesn't actually have any kind of healing, and he does take out Jimmy, so that is certainly going to help him for any kind of future eliminations or any kind of engagements here.
Yeah, and it got him into the top 5, and Goobaz actually ended up going down as well. So just getting the tags on the end of the storm as rotation does go up the mountain. The verticality being the difference there. Elimination does go over. That was the knock we had just talked about. While Replace goes through, he edits down, has nothing to catch himself, but luckily was on the edge of it. But Hype is relentless on the high ground, and now they're going to start working the top down. When we started on board with them, they had 4 elims, now worked it all the way up to 8. There is 9 and 10, and they're looking to close this match out, and this is where every point matters. Getting the wall replaced, and Slaya goes down. Well done from Hype and Serpent. 11 elims in the victory royale.
Well done from them indeed. Now, unfortunate to see Slayo go down. I know that he is a favorite from a lot of people, but you know what? Second place, not too bad, Sundown.
No, it was a good effort, but like you said, once kind of those two get rolling, when they have the momentum, they are able to just run with it. We've seen it before in the semifinals, and when they finally converted it over, sometimes that's all it takes. If you're able to put the pieces together on the right day in the finals, that's what ends up mattering. Now we're on board here with Surf Junkie and Evanix.
And take a look at their loadout they have right now. 2 Rift to Goes, 2 Shadow Bombs. I'd be interested to see if they've split the Shadow Bombs. Duos will typically do that. Give 2 and 2 so each partner has some kind of mobility in their inventory. They do only take up 1 slot, and you can carry a whole bunch of them. So we've seen time and time again players utilizing those to make rotations, make sure they're safe heading into the next zone, and they are going to actually opt to rift out there so that they can make that early rotation. They did have quite a long way to go, but they are going to look to see if they can possibly sneak on some high ground here.
Yeah, the thing is there, well, it seems like it is a little bit of an early rift. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, majority of the players were in their path in order to get to the rotation. So when you have 2 rifts and 2 extra Shadow Bombs as well as a ton of the shields, you can afford to be a little more aggro there, and they're actually able to now get priority on the zone and pick up an elim as well. But can they get the mats and then disengage out with whatever upgrades they so desire?
Again, Surf Junkie taking a lot of damage there, so he is going to have to really focus on getting healed up before they, make the next rotation or before they take another engagement, because you certainly do not want your duos partner going down or falling to anyone at this stage of the game. That certainly can spell disaster. But we are going to take a look here at Serpent and Hype. We saw a little bit of their gameplay in the last game. They look as though they're playing very, very well together today. And let's just see what they can pull out right now.
Yeah, so these were actually, the last game we watched was their second to last game, and this was their final game of the evening. So that's kind of why it ended up being such a thinner lobby. It was a lot of the players trying to get through and use the last of the games, but Serpent and Hype saying, that's fine, we'll play it for a victory royale. And right right now inside the first placement threshold, already on 7 elims for this match. So that's 10 points so far coming out from this game. That's what we talk about when we say maximizing efficiency in every single one of your lobbies. If you're making it into the final placement threshold, getting a couple of those victory royales and getting elims as well, it makes it very difficult for everyone else in the lobby to even keep pace with you.
Yeah, and that we've seen time and time again has worked out for so many players. Really just being very aggressive, just going full send. It doesn't matter what game you're in, that can always bode well. He does get the knockdown on pick up the rift to go and 2 extra shadow bombs. So now the tables have turned, Sundown. He has got all of the mobility he needs.
They just have so much control over this lobby now with the high ground. They can see nobody else is even remotely close to it. There's the far side of the lobby. You will see Lunar and Alpha trying to put some shots on it. Prince Charming comes sailing in, but there was a shadow bomb directly in the box behind it. I don't know if Alpha realized that. Gets high ground taken away from him a second. Boxed in, no traps coming out, does finally put one down, and Kaiser can't avoid the damage there. 15 health on it. Needs to throw the Chug Splash at his feet or get the edit out. One of the two has to happen very shortly. 15 HP, was able to get back up to the high ground. Is going to opt to just pop the minis and then go for the Chug Splashes. Yeah,
I mean, at that point, it wouldn't have really mattered too much what he chose to do because you are only getting 20 HP effectively from those Chug Splashes for each one that you throw down. He did wait for his partner to join him, though, because there is that area of effect with the Chug Splashes. You get 20 health, your teammate gets 20.
Been picked up so far, and look at that. Prince Charming gets taken down. No fairy tale ending for you there. It's just back to the lobby, and considering this is the last match, that's the end of your World Cup run as Serpent and Hype able to clean that up. There's another one going over up to 12 and all the resources from it, and they saw that Shadow Form player. Look at him just running.
What is happening? Sundown. He was just, you know what? I think at that point he was just trying to do whatever he could to stay alive. Unfortunately, Hype and Serpent met him there, but Serpent does actually go down, and he is going to fall to the storm. It is going to be completely up to Hype now to carry the rest of this game. Each of them having 7 eliminations, sitting at 125 points. Do you think he's going to be able to pull out the victory royale? We're going to have to find out.
Now, they are on this 14 elims, has the proximity launcher. That's 70 on both of them right there. Will get the AoE, gets the 70 again, so he knows that player is on 40. Drops down, he finds Ices, catches himself with the waterfall as he drops. Will pick that up. Siphon comes over too. Will he be able to get enough mats? He's sitting on 3, 2, now out of materials. It's a 2v2, v1, v1. Edit comes out, needs to pick up this elim. Storm isn't his favorite player. Covers himself with metal. Edit goes forward. Uncle Andy, say goodnight. Nothing left for you there. Hype finds the shot right there. Gets a good 80+ tick. Can he find another one as he's trying to do all of the work by himself right now? Serpent's been taken down. He's sitting on 9 elims, getting some help from the high ground. 73 with the first shot, getting walled out. Needs to find a way back in the zone, and he does. Lupius goes down 1. Barbucks cleans it up, but second place and 15+ elims coming out from that good effort from Lunar and Barbucks, but Hype and Serpent showing why they got that top spot. It was really well played.
Unbelievable, the decision making and mechanically how gifted you have to be able to drop down, waterfall down, pull out your shotgun, and catch yourself so quick. Cat-like reflexes. Too bad Kitty Plays isn't here to comment on those.
And making sure that it was the player he had ticked twice with that proximity grenade. While it only being 70 damage, it's basically guaranteed if the player isn't boxed themselves up. But now we're going to hop on over to the Asia region while we see what was up with the Trigger QQ boys of the Vietnamese region, or the Vietnam country, playing on the Asia region. Apologies there, as we're on board here with Riki and Joysa. Some good shots coming out from that tactical assault rifle so far. 12 duos remaining, 23 players left as we're in the half in, half out.
Yeah, and we are seeing a little bit of a trend here so far with these games, Sundown. You know, not very many players left alive, but I think it's a great change of pace, and you can really see how the players adapt their play style to kind of, you know, counteract the fact that there aren't going to be very many people in the lobby. Ricky just taking down Seal completely as he was trying to rotate and use the launch pad to get out of there. So good on him with that elimination. That will be his first one of the game. His partner, Jazia, is sitting on 2. They are going to use the Stinks to actually try to pressure this player above them, see if they can get him to come down, but he just gets out of there and says, you know what? That one stunk. I'm not interested.
Yeah, Cushy having no reason to do that. And you also noticed that Joyza threw the stink directly on top of Ricky while he was pressuring. No friendly fire going on there. As you can see, Hooten and Peach on the low ground. But there's the qualifiers, Flame and Unique over on the side. And one thing I went through and ended up reviewing a lot of their matches, they had some hairy situations early, but pretty much every single early game, they got completely uncontested Dusty Divot and walked out with just max everything. Like, it was nuts and just getting a ton of rotation, but right here you can see right now sitting on 2 elims, have a decent amount of loot, good amount of mats, and prime area on the zone. So convert that into one onto Theo, getting a good knock with the help of the Storm, up to 66 points as we're inside that placement threshold number 2, top 10 ticking over.
And I feel like Dusty Divot is actually one of those points of interest where you can drop and get a ton of resources, all the trees being there. You know, some would argue that, you know, you're at a bit of a disadvantage because you are essentially, you know, not to pun, but you are in a divot. But you know what? If you can use those trees for cover, that whole area completely uncontested and for yourselves, you are going to come out of there sitting pretty. So we are taking a look here. They are rotating over. We'll see how he builds up here, if he tries to take high ground, or it looks like he might actually be making a play for that.
Yeah, he was looking to find it over on the side, but instead just opted to box himself up, realizes he has the RPG and wants to start sending everyone cascading down, but opts not to fire it. So interesting decision there. I actually thought he would have sent it down. Instead turns towards the player underneath him, and him and Ricky are going to try and isolate that player in order to convert it into an elim. Now he's going to look skyward. I figure he would want to reset that before they got too established. Nope. Instead, he's going to say, my high ground now. Perfectly timed launch pad to get it right at that maximum deploy height. And now, all of a sudden, Joyza and Ricky on the high ground with a whole bunch of resources.
And 12 rockets in their RPG. We've seen this time and time again. Explosives are extremely strong, but they are even stronger when they are raining down on players from ultimate high ground. These players do not have to worry at all about anything that is happening above or below them. They need to be looking up at Jazia and his teammate, because they are actually going to go on a little bit of a tear here. Let's see if they can get any more eliminations. They've already picked up 1, but you can see him. Jazia's ready. He's got that RPG out, Sundown.
He has it out. He's trying to make sure it's loaded. Stinks continue going up. That looks like it's his teammates since he's just walking through that. Does hit top 5. Now Ricky has taken a solid amount of damage, but continues tossing down Stinks towards the low ground, but he hasn't found anything with it. So far, they've only converted this into 1, and Ricky... And they're into the top. Isolated in front of them. They're going to try and pinch. RPG comes down, but Joyza commits himself, falling down after the RPG, taking 80 plus damage. So now lifts himself up to the sky, but this is going to give Flame and Unique all of the pace, all of the pressure. Dorothy gets pushed down. Unique does get chipped out, so he needs to be careful. Joyza, recognizing this, knows he needs to go now before it's isolated, but there's the maximum deploy height. Might as well just be hanging out, flips his head, finally touches his feet, and gets blasted for it. Flame and Unique, we hopped on board with them. They had 2 elims. They converted it into a 7 elim victory royale for 17 points, Spooky.
Very well done coming out of those 2. And Jazia made a little bit of a mistake there. He did miss that floor that was built out, but unfortunately for him, he didn't have much of a choice. He didn't have any mats left, so he had to rip. That was literally his only play. Fortunately, it didn't work out, but let's hop right into another game from the Asian servers. We are looking at the Trigger Boys again. They're sitting at 9 eliminations already this game. So, you know, let's kind of see if they were able to pull something off here.
And again, one thing I highly recommend if you have the ability to go back and watch these guys' VODs, because I know a lot of people, they like to talk about the zero ping wall takers and going somewhere else to play. These are players playing from Southeast Asia, playing from Vietnam, being able to execute together, finding a strategy that works for them, team firing and coordinating. It was very impressive to watch. And there's honestly a couple of situations in the early and mid game where it felt like they really shouldn't have got out of, and they had really cool disengages. So highly recommend checking out these two players in particular if you want someone who might feel a little more accessible in terms of going over, and it's something that like, hey, I can do this, because I know there's sometimes when I watch VODs of like Benji Fishy or Clicks or Dubs, and it's like, well, I'm never going to try that ever, so.
Never say never, Believe in yourself.
Some of these kids, some of the guys going to the Fortnite World Cup final are infinitely better than I could ever hope to be mechanically, and honestly have shown why they are that good. Like, these guys are the best of the best and just do some mechanical stuff that hasn't been seen before. But that is not the only way to be successful in this game. There's plenty of paths in Fortnite Battle Royale to get there and to get to the top.
Yeah, I mean, you can be mechanically amazing. You know, you can have smart rotations. That's what I love about the Battle Royale genre as a whole. There's just so many different working parts. And I feel as though, you know, there are some duos that do some things really great and others that do other things even better. So that's why it's always so exciting to me to be spectating duos and being able to be here and casting these games, just so that you can see how these duos work together, how they play to their strengths. They are going to be taking, that one gets me every time. I had to quickly look down into the inventory there to make sure you had the redeploy. I was like, what are you doing, Unique, please?
I still get a little bit of vertigo anytime. Even if I know they have it, it's just like, I'm desperately afraid of heights. But we're into the top 10 now as Unique and Flame. Now you can see high utility. Again, 2-gun loadout, but using as much of the utility. And RRQ Hero Kappa just gets ripped. 4-shot out from under him, and they catch him before he even hits the ground. Up to 91 points so far from Unique and Flame, and just so well done.
Yeah, and you can see there, just, you know, they started shooting at the wall and then both immediately switched down to the floor. Smart plays coming out of them as always. Here we have Net. I'm going to take a stab at that name. I know that, thank goodness it's me casting here and not Zeke, because...
He would have panicked and probably fell out of his chair. But Net taking shots from the high ground, looking down here, trying to find what he can. Gets GCBM, GGK with a perfectly placed rocket, and now he's going to look to punish that backside of the storm. That was the conversion over to the knock he's already gotten, so nothing else to do in there. As Haruki are trying to put shots out towards the rest of the lobby, they find Huda Fishy. So Benji Fishy transcending regions now, all the way over in Asia, people trying to get that luck, but not going to be enough, because the SP duo currently running up on the high ground onto 7 elims, looking for number 8 with that rocket. Got to be careful when you edit. However, Harakiro goes down.
Yeah, he just completely dropped down there, possibly to make it easier for his partner to possibly get him, but you know what, it isn't good. Shadow Bomb to position himself perfectly for the next rotation is building up, kind of taking mid-ground at this point. There are only 7 players. Make that 6 left in this lobby, 5 duos. So this is almost a solo game at this point.
Yeah, and now he got the other duo knocked, so it is a straight-up solo game. If he can convert on that, it will go through, and he's into the top 5. So a huge play despite Flame going down. Conversion does go through, and he finds Kosa as well. So now straight-up solos. 9 elims on Unique. It's a 1v1. And this was for all the money. Unique wanted it to be enough. He was sitting there. This was their second to last game. They needed to clutch out. They needed every single point possible. And will he be able to find it? We're watching the left side of the screen right now as Unique disengages down towards the bottom. Matt up on the high ground again as he's trying to run him around and find an angle. One thing note, only has 6 mats and only has the redeploy, which is a top-down mechanic, so he wants to sneak a shot on him. He knows he has to save back. Hello!
He jumped the rocket!
What?
Somehow!
Ridiculous!
He jumped the rocket!
It went up onto the low ground, just being a tile square away. Gets the first shot with the combat. Now he has the pressure. He finds his own. He has to go forward, though, because here's the change in elevation. He finds the first shot. Can he find the second? And he does! He finds it! 7 HP left. Gets the siphon to take over. Unique puts puts it on his back, 24 points. 14 eliminations and the victory royale. Look at the fossil. Look at the plays. The Vietnamese duo doing it. They said, we don't need zero ping. We don't need to take your walls. We'll do it with style. We'll do it with execution. And we'll do it with coordination. But now we're hopping over back into live games. This isn't stuff from last night or early this morning, depending on where you live. This is from Brazil. We're going all the way down to South America, and now on board with Nothing, No Name, and Clipnode. Clipnode, who actually grabbed the final solo qualification spot last week.
Yeah, congratulations to him. We saw him absolutely playing out of his mind. He 100% deserves that because Clipnode is somebody who, when we first started this whole journey with World Cup, I really wasn't sure who he was, but we've seen him time and time again be extremely consistent just with utilizing, all of the things that he's learned so far. To see him qualify last week, sneak that in. But now he's here with Nothing, No Name, and they are certainly trying to make names for themselves today. Clipnode using that launch pad to rotate over. Tons of players left in this lobby, so things may get a little bit dicey for him. This terrain is going to be extremely difficult for these players to navigate. We see these two massive mountains in the middle here. The amount of high ground and materials they're going to need to come into play to make these rotations easy for everyone is going to be something to witness for sure.
I hate endgames over here.
I love them.
I don't do particularly well in those circumstances. Oh, hello! Great edits coming out from Clipnode. Gets the heavy snipe on the box across. Catches the hot potato grenade midway through. Hello, there's another one. Can he get over in the box? Great re-edit as well. If he didn't close it, would have taken damage there. But this is what a World Cup qualifier looks like. The individual plays to get away from that. And man, the guy with the grenade launcher on the low ground is just pinging them into those windows.
He's not missing a shot at all. I don't know if I would ever say that term with a grenade launcher. You're not missing shots, but he was absolutely nailing those. Now, like you said, you don't like being over here, but this is what it's all about to me. Anybody can, not anybody, but it's much easier to be on very flat terrain, tunnel through. This is what I love to see. This brings out the actual skill sets of these players. It shows us, how mechanically gifted they are, how much they practice, how much time they've put into doing scrims and doing arenas, and just showing us why they're here, why they're trying to qualify, and hopefully get those spots to New York.
Yeah, and you do see that Storm Surge is on the right-hand side. What Storm Surge is if a certain number of players are alive and the lobby gets a little too active, the people who have been the most passive will be punished. But because we're down below 30 players, it's turned off and will no longer be active. We've now hit top 15, and we're into those first round of placement points. Now remember, top 15 is 3 points if you're able to get in the top 10, and nets you an additional 2 for 5. Top 5 gets you 2 more, and then the victory royale is 3 for a total of 10. And generally, if you're qualifying for the World Cup, you're looking for a 50-50 split. You need high placements and you need high eliminations. The balanced approach is what gets you there. As you can see right now, Clipnode and Nothing, No Name, 11 eliminations so far, in closing in on top 10.
And they get rifted up into the sky there. That definitely was not Clipnode's. I don't believe it was Nothing, No Means either. That would have been a completely other player trying to get out of a little bit of a sticky situation there by using the rift. You can see No Name landing on the high ground, utilizing that community launch pad to pull himself back over to his teammate because they did get separated for a short moment there. Clipnode has actually used the launch pad as well. Orb was still up in the air, but it doesn't matter. He goes down. Unfortunately, lands in the box of another player. Missed is missed, takes him out.
Right, but Nothing, No Name was directly underneath it and edited him down in between. He's gonna try and stick this revive, and he does. He got it. Can they edit back over? They got the next box. He's on sub 30 HP. He gets back in. He has 10 HP. Will they be able to find anything? Player behind. Clipnode goes back down. Can he find it? No. Gets picked up, but they got the top 10. So 12 elim points plus the 5 going through. 17-point performance from Clipnode and Nothing, No Name, but they're not going to be a factor in the rest of the lobby. You have Solinho and Seko on the low ground, Matakuski and Ernie just above them with Falls and Ducky 1 tarp above. Solinho does have 1 more chug splash and could use it potentially, but wants to hold off. Waiting for top 5 for the next threshold as W Key Edit picks up Obi, and we get closer and closer. Lua gets ticked over, and now we have 7 duos remaining. Seleno just taking a little bit of a breather, swapping up on the mats while all the action happens above him. Esteban picks up Ducky, and we close in on the top 5. Trap arms and goes off above, but no elimination. Ticks over as the Soccer Skins continue to look. Poised Playmaker wants to make a play, but they also want top 5. Constantly checking their sides, realizing they're okay right now. And I mean, man, they're running low on mats.
They are running low on mats, but they do own all of this. So hopefully, you know, they're going to be able to utilize that to their advantage. Edit down just like that. He takes out Expert. You know, that is the advantage of having all of those builds to yourself. You completely dominate the mid and low ground with edits when you have that. Ernie going down, falling to Soul. Soul gets another shot, 98 with a combat shotgun. It isn't going to be enough. Can his teammate follow out? Zico's out in the storm, but does come back in. Zico's sitting on very little HP, about 50 effective HP to his name right now, and they have to play low ground right now because they don't have a choice.
It's a 2v2. You have MST and his partner Esteban in the top right, Seco in the bottom right with Seleno. Everything else on the Y from Seleno, looking for the angle. Player drops out inside this MAST, going for it, but Seco gets the first knock. The foot knock is up into the sky. The fall damage, hello. Can he catch himself and get back into the zone? Will it be enough? Seleno's tracking him in. No, it's not enough. Seleno picks up the double, throws a nice little pumpernickel, and then into the iconic break it down, let him know. Throw a hootenanny in there as well, and a great finish. And also, Pookie, I gotta give you a shout out right there. The way you called just the edit down and the fact how he was looking for it and then it happened immediately after. I just, in my head, I'm like, man, they're burning so many of their builds. Like, this seems like a waste, but just spot on with that right there. So hats off to you. Nice little clap. Well done.
Thank you. Don't let you go get too big sundown, you know.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'll knock you. I live with Zeke. I'm an expert at knocking people down a peg.
Perfect. Can't wait for this game for you to say something to just completely catch me off guard. But here we are in another match. We're looking at King and Zone. They hit that snipe. You guys know how much I love seeing those heavy snipe shots. They're my absolute favorite. This is what I have come here to see today. Give me the snipe shots all day, Cam.
Oh, it's both the best and the worst feeling. Like, yes, it feels great when you get it, but at the same time, when you're just rotating around, you're hanging out in your box, and you feel like, hey, maybe I got my one layer, I can peek on a side, then all of a sudden, boom, boom. Or like you're jumping all the way around your 360, you're checking your side, and you just get your face ripped off, and you know, it feels awful. And even sometimes you're launch padding going through and somebody hits that shot. That feels great for them. The player who jump padded over, not so much. But King and X-Zone trying to make the plays. King actually recently getting signed to that 9Z team going over. Originally was King, I Will Not Lose, has qualified for the solos portion. The young Argentinian doing everything he can to reach it in the duo side. Him and X-Zone have been so close.
Taking a few shots there, having them pay off. Still sitting on high ground, though, with the heavy sniper. Come on, King, give us another snipe shot, dude. But you see him here just looking for any kind of players that were trying to come out of the zone there and get to safety. He's not going to let it happen. He's saying, you know what? I'm king of the high ground here. I'm going to gatekeep you all day.
Yes, he's going to look towards the outside there, not going to acknowledge the pun. It was a pretty good one, I'll give you that. As Lucky Boy and Luco Boy over on the side here, 7 elims as we're closing in on the first placement threshold. And honestly, shout-outs to Brazil. They've stepped their level up every single week. Some of their qualification barriers actually ending up being higher than NA West in some of those circumstances in the duo week. So just a really high level of competition, and just the fact that it's pushed up every single week. You can see Storm Surge coming through there, and Lottie getting a great shot with the combat there. And that's what we talked about, kind of the difference of the timer, being able to just throw the combat out there, get the wall shot in, and then immediately swap back over it. So now he's going to try to go aggressive because he wants to convert on that.
And you can hear all of the shadow bombs going off behind. He's going to have to be very careful. He isn't built behind him, so there could possibly be players sneaking in behind. But he is going to continue to try to edit forward. Picks up another elimination on Nis and Greg. They both fall to him there.
Yeah, and that was the double, is them trying to stick the revive. And at that point, man, you just got to let your teammate go.
Yeah.
Let him, you hang him out, you let your buddy and be like, hey, you know what, it's been a good run, but I'm going to go try and get those placement points. They fell outside of the top 15, so it's huge because you waste, I don't want to say waste all the time because you get whatever elim points, but not getting at least the 3 placement points from top 15, it hurts. It hurts the mental game, it hurts your score, it hurts your efficiency in terms of getting the points, as now we're on board with Barboisa Lee, Golden Boy's favorite, as him and Zodi Boy are trying to make a run at it, currently sitting on 5, make it 6 elims and 33 points and a great loadout.
Yeah, and he just completely obliterated Les there. So Lee takes out Les. That's a good one. That's an interesting one for later. But he does throw the Sting Bomb down. Now, we've seen time and time again those being extremely strong. And Zate just gets completely annihilated. Lee now opting to utilize the Shadow Bomb. Says hello to the baller to his right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen. But then uses the small amount of high ground down there to maybe get any kind of eliminations on people coming into the zone.
Yeah, so if you sneak up on a baller near the outside of the zone and you're in like a late game storm, pickaxe it once and then immediately shoot it out. It'll send them flying out into the zone and you'll get elim credit. Boom, there you go, there's the strat.
Wow.
Because it's one of the consistently easy ways to get elims on players who don't react. Because if they don't instantly throw down the grapple and boost forward, they're gone. Because the momentum persists as soon as the ball breaks, so it'll send them flying out into the zone. It's great.
You know, where have you been for the last 2 years when I've been trying to improve my Fortnite game? I need you to coach me here.
I mean, you can watch the broadcasts and stuff. I drop hints and knowledge like this. It's called the Sundown Rundown or Sit Down with Sundown, whichever one you want. Maybe someday I'll get the leeway to do my super serious serial Sunday with Sundown, but
that is a lot of alliteration.
Oh, trust me, it's Fortnite. It's all alliterative. But we're getting closer now to that top 5. 11 elims so far from King and X-Own. X-Own saying, I will not lose. I want to be on that stage with my buddy King, and King being one of those young prodigies out of the SA region, along with Nix, doing everything they can from this low ground. How well can they execute and get around the side? Roddy Boy picks up Gozer there and continues his run forward, knowing it'll be ticked over, but King trades him right back, just inside, or just outside the top 5. You can see him wall off the player and want to stick with the zone as it's running out. 10 players remaining, 6 duos left right now as they look for the space. Gozer does finally tick over, but Lottie had been eliminated, and Clement didn't 90 fast enough there. Couldn't cover himself. 13th elim. King has 11 of them. They're the only duo left in the bottom right. Borboisa gets Franz. Will he take over? No, Bravo takes up, and we have a 2v1 with double campfires on the low ground. Heavy snipers as well. Knock Bravo down. This is one of the top duos. This is a team to keep an eye on. King and XO, 43 points with the victory royale. 25 from that match, Pookie.
Yeah, coming out with 15 eliminations between the two of them. Now, you've said it so many times, you know, getting the placement and getting the eliminations are so important in these games to make sure that you are hitting top of the leaderboard every single week, and we just saw a perfect example of it coming out from those guys right there. Congratulations to them. We can see here for the Brazil games, we only have about 40 minutes remaining, so these games are going to be some of the last ones for these guys, depending on how long they are able to survive. Each match going approximately 20 minutes, so you need to plan your time accordingly and make sure that you are getting the most out of these games, because time and time again, we've seen it come down to just a few points, so every point matters.
I mean, we've seen it very frequently coming down to less than a few points. Like, we've gone... I think we've gone 2 tiebreakers deep at some point. I think the most we've had to go on is 3 once. I might have to double check that. I know Creo went too deep on his when he ended up advancing. But one thing I do want to talk about is kind of the mentality about playing for late. It's something that you've heard all the time in the Fortnite community, but a lot of people don't really understand. Like, there's a big proponent around the idea of W keying or playing aggressive, and taking early aggressive fights when you can gun race and you know you have an advantage. For instance, if you pick up a combat early, or if you pick up a legendary AR at range, or even a green AR before somebody is able to get set and really get a ton of mats, you can pressure somebody and you can go full send and you can go aggro and you can create an advantage for yourself. But in the general run of the game, taking an even fight against players who are roughly as skilled or even slightly less, they're going to be able to chip you out, and most players are going to be able to at least delay you or make it worth their time unless you're significantly better than them, right? So then if you end up being able to be a little more passive, playing a little safer, working around the outside, being more deliberate in how you rotate and get to places, this is called playing for late, because then you get in these circumstances where you have all the mats, you have the resources, and you're in a more chaotic environment, but you're not knocked out way before taking a 50-50 fight, and all of a sudden we've seen the number of times you win one key engagement on the low ground or one key engagement on the mid ground, and all of a sudden you take high ground away, or one turns into 3 or 4. But you don't get those opportunities if you don't make it to late game.
Exactly. I could not have said that better myself. You know, the thing is too is early game you never know what the other player is going to have that you're going up against. You know, you might feel that you're sitting pretty and you've got a great loader. You're like, you know what, I got this combat shotgun. I'm just going to rush. The other guy could be sitting there with an RPG. You haven't shielded up. You're back to the lobby, Sundown. So, you know, not knowing what the other players have is always, you know, that component of the game that can really actually help or hurt you.
And look, right now, as Andrea and Troy has some great gatekeeping on the side, keeping those players who are trying to rotate with their backs at the storm from entering it, up to 9 elimination now as bot 6 does tick over, and you can see you use your utility, you get as far over as you can, and you box up and you turn. The combats and the ARs being the primary benefactors right now from what we've seen today in the meta, and then going triple utility out of there. Andrea not getting the chip there, unfortunately, got a ton of damage, but no elim credit, is going to pick up all of those resources and tops off with a lot of wood and metal.
Yeah, and we have seen time and time again today, you know, just with how many utility items players are carrying, because the utility items in this game right now are so strong. We did just hit the top 15 threshold. A couple more teams go down so quickly Sunday. We're about to hit that top 10.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I'm a huge fan right now of the 9.30 loot pool. Just seeing more utility and more shields being opened up for players has kind of enabled them. And then with the adjustments, we've seen players rocking multiple gun loadouts, but we've also seen players going straight to the utility phase. The chug splash is offering a lot there, but some nades coming out, trying to get the chip in. They snuck one in, but good coverage as we now hit the top 10. So 5 placement points for everyone in here. So far, this is a 16-point game for Andrea and Troya.
And he is going to take a moment here, hopefully, he looked like he was going to cone himself in there and try to use the minis, but he isn't unfortunately going to have time. The storm is right at his back, and he is dealing with a player in front of him that he is using all of his builds for here to kind of take cover from. He's only got 21 builds remaining. He is above Loot Lake, so that adds a whole nother level. And unfortunately, Troya does actually go down to the player that they were tracking earlier, and Andrioli actually doesn't know where these shots are coming from. He's getting shot from everywhere at this point. He's being focused. He does end up taking a player out to get that siphon down to 29 effective health. It isn't going to be enough. Tried to use that launch pad to get out, but unfortunately he falls.
Yeah, and it was Santidad who picked him up there, and he's on the mid-tarp. Easy for Blackops and got picked up, as well as DK. So this is a ton of Brazil's top players, but Santidad goes down, and we have our top 3. Now, top 2. It's a 2v2 with Nehu and Ziox up on the high ground. The other team working the low ground as well. They know that they're in the box on the side. They're looking for him. They have marks towards him. They know the players are there. You can see the outlines in purple right now as the Sinisters is trying to get an angle on the side. Raja and Softy are working back around, but they need to be careful because here comes that change in elevation, and you can already see Zukix trying to knock down the tree, preventing no cover. Raja has absolutely no builds. He's going to try and hit the brick and get back up, and he can't. That's the little change in elevation we talked about. Softy gets taken down, and Zukix picks that one up. Flintknock does get picked up. He's on an all-weapon loadout. Nothing left. And Zukix finds it there. Brilliantly done, pushing them up to 35 points after an 18-pointer. Just well done there. But